MarkWHO42 is proud to have Famous Faces and Funnies. This is a huge, mega comic book store. I mean, they just have literally tons and tons of comic books, novelties, everything. They're located off of 3020 New Haven Avenue in West Melbourne. And if you want to give them a call and just let them know MarkWHO42 sent you, it's 321-259-3575. But this thing is just a huge, I mean, you've seen comic book stores and nothing against them, but you've seen them, these tiny little shops, and they have comic books and they have merchandise and memorabilia and such like that. This place is like the best term I can put is the Costco of comic book shops. You go from one store and there's another section, and it's just huge. They have Funkos. They have tons and tons and tons of stuff in there. I mean, it's hard to explain. But if you have any geekdom out there, Famous Faces and Funnies have got it covered for you, from Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars, everything. And also Rick is the guy who runs it, and all the team over there, nice, friendly people. And I believe they're going to be joining us at MegaCon this year. So definitely want to check out our friends at Famous Faces and Funnies in the West Melbourne area if you're out there.
Hello, this is Nicola Bryant, and I am wishing MarkWHO42 a very happy 5th birthday. A happy anniversary, guys. I wish you at least another 5.
Welcome to MarkWHO42 here on Krypton Radio. And a big hello to all those people listening to us now on iHeartRadio. We'd like to thank iHeartRadio for welcoming us to the iHeartRadio family. It's going to be a great show today. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten. With me is
Christian Basil. Happy 5th anniversary, everybody. Welcome to the show. Those old and new. Welcome. It is technically now our 5th year, because April 1st, when we first opened our MarkWHO42 Facebook page in 2012, was on Saturday. So yeah, it's our anniversary. And as you heard before our new opening credits, thank you Simon Brett for composing that for us, you can tell that we have Nicola Bryant on today's show. Perpugilliam Brown. Yes.
Yeah.
Perpugilliam of the Brown.
Perpugilliam of the Brown, exactly. It is the first part of a 2-part interview. Next week we will have the second half of the interview, but don't miss today's. You're going to love this interview. But before we celebrate and have all our hoo-ha and go to the interview and all that fun stuff, let's go to Doctor Who News with Christian Basil. Christian, what's going on in the world of the WHOniverse? And
we've had a lot of stuff come out over here, but the ones we want to focus are definitely specifically Doctor Who. And Mark, the news today is sponsored by cosplayconventioncenter.com. Mark, I'll give it to everybody who's in the question. Have you ever wondered where all the conventions are at? You've always heard that at the last minute or after the convention's been happening, say, yeah, that was a great convention. You're like, darn, I wish I knew weeks ago about it. Or I'm looking for all the Doctor Who conventions in Florida, or so forth and so on. You're looking for conventions in the area, and you just don't know who's going to be there or what's going on, or you want to catch them before they're over, which there's been a few conventions I keep seeing popping up on Facebook, but it's like, well, it's tomorrow. I'm like, I don't have time.
Yeah,
well,
where
folks,
can I go?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked, because that's our sponsor for today, cosplayconventioncenter.com. You can find actually more information about us and our convention appearances on that site, as well as heroesonhand.com, which is our agent site. But we're very happy to be part of the Cosplay Convention Center. And I know the title sounds a little weird, but it's more than just cosplay. If you're looking for a specific genre, if you're looking for conventions in your area, if you're looking for a specific convention genre in your area, they have listings that you can go to on their site and find more by region, by state, by theme, by date, by archive, everything. They can find it for you. You can also have a chance to upgrade to a premium convention level. You can check that out for yourself at cosplayconventioncenter.com. Now, without further ado, our first article is about a rockumentary, 2 of the Doctors, and a Segway. No, not that kind of Segway. The ones that you drive. Yeah, the one that you drive.
Yeah.
And have you ever ridden on a Segway before?
No, I have not.
I've tried it twice in my lifetime and once ran into the wall and said I'm never doing that again. Dangerous vehicles they are. I've heard, I don't know if this is true, I've heard people actually drive off cliffs with them because they didn't know how to control them.
Oh, why can't they just jump off before they hit the cliff?
Well, I don't think that was the intention of doing it on the Segway there. But first and foremost, our first article is about a show called Brian Pern, A Tribute, which will have 2 Doctors on, but not as doctors themselves. Christopher Eccleston will be reprising his role of Luke Dunmore, producer, and the 5th Doctor, Peter Davison, will be playing himself. And
can I say there have been 2 series of Brian Pern mockumentaries before this in the last 2 years, and they've been about music and it's been comedy, and that's how Eccleston is reprising a role he's played in one of the earlier seasons. But tell us about this new season.
Well, the new season has already premiered on March 29th on BBC4, and it came out on 10 p.m. Okay. But I'm sure they're going to be playing it again. I'm sure they're going to have reruns.
It's on the iPlayer.
Oh, it is on the iPlayer? Okay, good.
It's on the iPlayer in England.
You can check it out for yourself. We have a clip of Christopher Eccleston at MarkWHO42.net. You can check it out. And Peter Davison himself will be playing in it. There's also other alumni from Doctor Who, including Surian Jones, who is best known as Idris, the lovely Idris, and Tony Way. We had him on one of our episodes for Breath, and he also is in Game of Thrones. So check that out. There is a clip there, MarkWHO42.net, and help yourself there.
Now, also, the only bad thing about this, because Brian Pern supposedly died on a Segway, and that's kind of what this is about. It's like a memorial thing. The guy who invented the Segway died on a Segway. It's kind of tragic. If you think. Comedy is tragedy, folks.
That is not good. That is not good at all.
It's not really good. It's kind of in some ways it could be a sick joke, but, Britain does those best in comedies. All right.
So, moving on to our next article. Mark, have you ever wanted to have breakfast with the doctor?
Yeah, and actually I have.
You have? Oh, okay, good.
How about back in the 80s? I think.
How about not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 7 of the living doctors? Would you care? What would that cost you? What would you do to see 7 of the living doctors and have breakfast with them?
I'd have a Klondike bar.
Great. Anyway, folks, you actually can have a chance to do this, and we have the link on MarkWHO42.net. You can have breakfast with 7 of the living doctors, including Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, David Tennant, Peter Capaldi, Matt Smith, Peter Davison, and Colin Baker. You and a companion will be flown out to London and put up in a 5-star hotel and have breakfast with the Time Lords themselves. We do have a link, but if you're just listening now and don't have a chance, it is www.omaze.com/experiences with an S/doctor spelled DR_WHO. But if you want the quicker way, just go to MarkWHO42.net, scroll down, and you should be able to find that. It is for Red Nose Day, and I believe the money is going to charity. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you can buy multiple chances.
Oh.
You can buy 1 or you can buy quite a few entries if you go to their site, depending upon how much you're willing to donate. Mm-hmm. So for 100 entries to win, you can donate $10. For 500 entries to win, you can donate $50, $1,000, $100. Of course, the increments go up. If you want 10,000, if you really, really, really want to broaden your chances, 10,000 entries, $1,000 is their highest.
I think I better buy some entries because I want to do this.
Well, there you go.
I'm doing this. Thank you.
And where are you going to get $1,000 from?
I'm not going to do $1,000. I'll be my normal self and buy 1.
Oh boy,
big spender.
There's nothing to say you won't luck out. I mean, but it's all going to charity. It's all going for a good cause. Yeah. So any amount that you give them, somebody is going to be benefiting from your contribution there. But of course, the bigger the chances that you have, the better off that you are.
Speaking of Red Nose Day, the BBC officially finally put out the Doctor Who Curse of Fatal Death video on YouTube.
I heard about that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can go on RedTube. You can go on Red.
You can go on RedTube, but you see some things you don't want your children to see, I think.
You can go on YouTube, and please ignore the other thing, and check out The Curse of Fatal Death. It was a spoof with Rowan Atkinson, Hugh Grant,
Jim Broadbent,
and Richard
Joanna
E. Grant
Lumley
playing the doctors.
Yeah.
And then Joanna Lumley at the end, but we won't spoil that reason as to why. We'll let you find out for yourself.
And Stephen Moffat wrote it, so you
Stephen Moffat wrote
it,
yeah. And you probably want to know why the Master is a girl now. That might have been the precursor right there.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to the next article from DoctorWhoTV.co.uk. Their bookies now have a new bleeding person to take on the role of the 13th Doctor. And lo and behold, it's an actress from Broadchurch. It is Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know her.
You do?
Well, I don't know her personally, but I know who you're talking about, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I don't know the character that she plays on Broadchurch, though. And I hate to explain what her character is. Well, we can explain that her son Danny dies, and that's the whole reason why Broadchurch comes up, the whole first season. Yeah. But even goes further than that in season 2, and I think season 3 is even going to take it a lot further, which is the final season of Broadchurch.
Which is airing now in England.
Yeah, they get all the fun stuff.
They get all this stuff early. We have to wait.
But right now the bookies are saying that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is up in the top echelons as far as being the Doctor. And
it makes sense because Chris Chibnall is the showrunner of Broadchurch, so why not just bring someone that he's already worked with?
Right. Well, that's all we got to say about that. If you want to listen to previous episodes of MarkWHO42, I think we've given enough opinions about how we feel about the first female Doctor, and for the most part we say there's nothing wrong with it. But we have our own different takes, and definitely you can listen to prior episodes about that from all of us having our opinions about the first female Doctor. There's nothing wrong with it. Just keep it simple. I think that's the general consensus between us there. And last but not least, Bill's gay.
Yeah, Bill Potts is openly a gay character on Doctor Who.
From BBC.com?
If you don't count Captain Jack being omnisexual, then this would be the first gay companion. Well, there might have been others that we just weren't openly. I can think of a few examples of companions who possibly could have been.
So I'm assuming when they say openly, they're going to mention that she is homosexual. That's
in the first episode.
In the first episode.
Yeah. Pearl Mackie has gone on record. She's on a video. She has said that she is, and she doesn't represent all the black people in the world. She doesn't represent all the gay people in the world, but her character is a subset of those. So, yeah.
I don't know what to say about that. It just, it's not that it's bad. I actually didn't want to know until Bill was revealed in the first episode of the series.
Then
it doesn't matter to me as long as it's a good companion. I had my take on Matt Lucas, and I didn't know for a while he personally is gay.
Yeah.
And I was like, it doesn't matter to me. I know people find novelty in this, but I'd rather have a good character. And I don't care about their sexuality unless the story supports them. And we've already had John Barrowman. We've already had Captain Jack, and I think he's a phenomenal character. And he also was strong enough to have his own spin-off for Torchwood. You know, I know people see novelty in this, and I don't. I'm more about the character, and they just happen to be, in some instance, have a sexual preference, and they want to explore it on the show. I want to make sure I'd say, you better have a good story behind this, and not just because we want to
like,
say it.
This just seems like it's a tick in the box, that they're, well, we haven't had one. Well, then let's put one in. It just like kind of the female doctor. We haven't had one, let's just put one in. It's got to go with the story. And maybe it does. Maybe there's a reason that they made her character gay, that there is going to be a relationship during the storyline that makes it advance and a good story. It's possible.
Yeah, and don't get us wrong, folks. Like we said, we in general consensus, we don't care about.
Yeah, I don't care.
The sexuality of the character. If they're going, if they're going to say it, just do it on the show for us. Mm-hmm. Just go ahead and mention it, and if it's got to be part of the story, make it something that is very strong. That's my take on it. I mean, I don't want to judge a character by their sexuality. I want to judge a character by the character.
Yeah.
That's the way I think the way it should be. And if she's gay or bi or omni like Captain Jack, fine. Be that way. Just write a good story about it and let's go on with it and make it seem seamless. I understand why some people get the nominee and I just don't. I mean, if we are judging people by the character, let's go ahead and judge by the character.
I mean, didn't last season they made a big deal that the first transgender actress was coming on the show, and she was in Sleep No More. And okay, I understand it's they're trying to open up the world of Doctor Who and say, hey, we support this, and that's good. That's great. We should support it.
I just don't want this to come off sounding wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not watching Doctor Who because I want to see different sexualities or see different cultural diversities, even though that should be encouraged. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing Doctor Who because I want a good story and I want to learn something by the time everything is said and done.
Yeah.
And I want it in a way that I'm not being beaten over the head with it. It's part of the story, and I understand why things are at, and I can accept and appreciate the storyline for what it is. Mm-hmm. And when they did, I don't remember. I know you're talking about Sleep No More, and they said, well, it's the first transgender. And I said, well, okay. So does that mean the story is going to be about transgender? And it had nothing to do with it. It was just the person.
Yeah.
And I was like, so what was that about? I mean, that was all it was announcements. Oh, this is cool. And I said, that's why I think it starts to lose its novelty. If it's not going to work its way into the story, why bother? Yeah. Or if you're going to make it, just do it. Just be about it. I agree with Pearl Mackie. She says that it shouldn't be a big deal, and I don't think it should be. I think it should be part of the story. It should be a natural run, and everybody. I'm hoping all the Whovians are out there just accept it the way it is. It's a great story. She happens to be gay, or Captain Jack happens to be omnisexual. But if we're going to use that, it's part of the story that we can appreciate and go with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more to say on that.
Well, you sound like it.
No,
it sounds like you have a little bit more.
No, I have nothing. I just, what's getting me is the fact that I would love to have found this out during me watching the episode. For the same reason, I would like to not know yet that Peter Capaldi was leaving. I'd love not to know until around Christmas that he was leaving the show. But I think they announced this, that she's gay, because a tabloid found out and was going to release it. So the BBC wanted to cut him to the story and released it before the rumor went out. And that's why, they released that the Doctor was leaving, in advance, because someone will find out and, it'll leak and they have to do damage control. But, I mean, wouldn't it be great in a world where we had no spoilers? Wouldn't it be great?
Well, no, wait a minute. Why is that damage control, though?
Well, it's not damage control, but, don't tell us things about the story until we watch it. Let's get rid of spoilers. And I hate the fact that I'm bringing this to spoilers, but...
well, it's not a spoiler anymore. I mean, it's commonly known, but...
Well, now it's commonly known, but it would have been nice not for it to have been commonly known.
I think with Capaldi leaving, I think it's just...
It puts a dampener on this whole season because we know no matter how good it is, we're not going to get it the next year.
Well, I think they're trying to generate people who left and said, listen, I'm leaving because of Capaldi. And unfortunately, I've met quite a few people who say I'm waiting for him to leave. And that's their call. That's their preference. I really think Doctor Who is universal throughout the entire time from 1963 until today, and every Doctor, whether you like him or not, is part of it. As Colin Baker puts it, I'm the Doctor whether you like it or not, and he will always be the Doctor. I liked him.
Yeah, me too.
But I think this was probably more of a marketing thing to try to rally people back and saying, hey, by the way, he's leaving. You know, we'll probably get some pretty young face to come back in here, and possibly the first female Doctor, which... You're right. Even that, I would say, listen, if you're going to make the Doctor female, just do it.
Surprise us.
Yeah, I almost want to say that sometimes. Just, surprise us. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Not in the world of social media.
Not today either. It's just they have to announce it, more or less. I think for the most part, fans do want to know who the next Doctor is. They want to prepare. Well, that's just me.
So... Christian, did you know that in the past week, if he was still alive, Sidney Newman would have been 100 years old?
So really?
Sidney Newman, the actual creator of Doctor Who, the man who came up with the idea that, hey, we need a show about a time-traveling grandfather and his grandkid. He would have been 100. He also, when he worked for ITV, created The Avengers. Mm-hmm. He, not the Marvel superhero folks, the real one with Steed and Mrs. Peel and Tara King and all the other companions of Steed. Yeah, they had companions on that show, too. Sidekicks, really. Kathy Gale, played by Honor Blackman. I mean, that's how she got the part of Pussy Galore in...
Watch your language.
Yeah. Hey, that's the character's name. And it was in the book.
I know.
It was in the book. My God.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
Well, Sydney, thank you.
You can say certain things in context. You can't say them out of context to lose the explicit rating.
Sydney, thank you so much for pretty much steering my childhood, giving it something to latch onto and to geek out with, and years later to continue to geek out on. My childhood has not left me. It just took a back seat for the wilderness period and then made a comeback. Sydney, I appreciate what you did. I appreciate what Verity did, and I appreciate what Walrus did. You basically booted my childhood. It gave my childhood something to latch on and just follow up, and it's something that I appreciate because it hasn't died, and it continues to just sit in the heart.
And it was partly Sydney's idea to have it wasn't called Regeneration, but have a new Doctor, and his birthday would have been last week too, Patrick Troughton.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's right.
It's birthdays for people who are no longer with us, so it's not, but I thought it was worth a mention.
No, it definitely is worth a mention.
And, okay. Do we have any other news articles?
Oh, that's it for this week. Yeah.
All right. So I think we're going to take a break. When we come back, we've got the first part of our interview with Nicola Bryant. And, boy, you're going to love it. I loved it. Oh, Nicola is great. And I'm sure you'll think, well, if you don't think so already, you'll think so too.
Oh, she's a lovely person, and I can't wait to meet her at WHOlanta next month.
Oh yeah, she'll be there.
Yeah. She and Colin, and that's my childhood. That's going to be on stage, geeking out there. So definitely, I can't wait to meet them both together. We met Colin, but I haven't seen those two together, and that'll be fun.
Yeah. So Nicola Bryant after this.
Don't go away. We'll be back with more MarkWHO42 after this.
And I'd like to say right now, MarkWHO42 is proud to have 9.9 Comics as a sponsor for our show. 9.9 Comics, if you're out in Brevard County, this is one of the places to go and visit. They've just started recently, and they're located off of 1284 Sarno Road in the Melbourne area. They're starting out, but I met Matt and the team, and they are just really, really, as far as customer service is concerned, phenomenal. It's a really great store. They were telling me about a point system, Mark, and forgive me, I'm not familiar with it, but that's where the 9.9 comes from. When you go to a comic book store, some comics are just laying out there loose and for everybody to read and such like that. And every time somebody picks it up, it kind of depreciates over time. Not in this store. Every comic is protected. In fact, you can't even read the comics. They're all protected for your pleasure. So if you want to keep these comics for longevity and possibly later on try to sell them to make money off of them, they have every comic sealed up and protected. It's just phenomenal. Not only that, but one of the things I love about this comic shop is they sponsor the Candlelighters of Brevard. Now, these folks are a nonprofit organization that take care of children in the Brevard area who are suffering from cancer. So if you want more information on them, go to www.candlelightersofbrevard.org. If you want more information about the charity that they sponsor, and definitely go on their Facebook site at 9.9 Comics. Can't miss it. Matt and the team are wonderful. Go visit them out there and tell them that MarkWHO42 sent you.
Coming May 19th through the 21st, Oasis 29 continues to celebrate excellence in science fiction and fantasy. Oasis 29 will take place at the Sheraton Orlando North Hotel, featuring special guest writer Faith Hunter. The best way to see Oasis 29 is with your 3-day weekend membership pass. Your pass will include full admission to all the art exhibits, dealer rooms, guest speakers, writing panels, and of course, a special appearance by your favorite Doctor Who podcast, MarkWHO42. A con suite for nourishment will be available on site. For more information, hotel rooms, and purchase for your tickets, including student discounts, go to www.oasfis.org/oasis. Oasis 29 is an event that promotes safe and fun environment for the entire family and upholds that cosplay is not consent. We look forward to seeing you there.
Hello, I'm Nicholas Briggs,
The voice of many monsters on Doctor Who.
and executive producer of Big Finish Productions. And I'm pleased to announce that MarkWHO42 Books have joined forces with Big Finish to bring you Big Finish Audio.
There's this fella who calls himself the Doctor, and he says he has saved me, and we are in his time machine.
You all right? I think I've broken something. What about you?
Yes, I'm fine, thanks.
I rather think I broke your fall.
Oh, sorry.
MarkWHO42 Books will now offer to bring you the best in Big Finish audio.
But why are they here?
How do you do?
I beg your pardon?
Oh, no need to. I'm the Doctor, and this is...
I am Leela.
By all means, please do come out to play, Doctor. I'm waiting for you.
To find where MarkWHO42 Books will be, go to markwho42.net or on their Facebook site at MarkWHO42.
What are you saying? They fizzled in somehow, like the TARDIS?
Yeah, transmat from another dimension. The TARDIS doesn't fizzle. It's more of a...
Also go to markwho42.net and download my interview with the team.
You're executive producer at Big Finish Productions.
Correct.
Correct.
Is this a quiz?
MarkWHO42, taking you to the WHOniverse and beyond.
Hello, this is Peter Davison, and you're listening to MarkWHO42.
Welcome back to MarkWHO42. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten. With me is Christian Basil, and today we've got a very, very, very special guest. See, I put very a few times because I always say we have a special guest, but we have a very, very, very special guest. We have
So
Nicola...
you're special guest to the third power.
Yeah. She is from the classic series of Doctor Who. She worked with two doctors on the show as a companion. It's Perpugilliam Brown herself, Nicola Bryant.
Hi.
Wow, it's great to have you here on MarkWHO42.
Well, it's great to be chatting with you on a Sunday afternoon in rainy, hailstorming England.
Oh,
it's actually not raining here, but it's windy as heck.
Oh, right.
It's very windy. Nicola, for those of our listeners who don't know who you are, can you please tell us a little about yourself?
Wait a minute. There are listeners who actually watch Doctor Who and don't know who Nicola Bryant is.
That's possible.
It could be the newbies.
We need to educate. We really need to get this
going to educate.
So in terms of Doctor Who,
No, it doesn't have to be Doctor Who.
Just generally. Okay.
Generally.
I am an actress or actor, depends what you prefer. I have spent a lot of my life playing Americans and consider that to be a great privilege. I feel half American.
We should be playing some patriotic music right now in the background.
Should we? I think so. I switch back and forth. It's funny because
to be an American.
I just did this week a show in which 3 of the characters I played were American, and then it just trails on during the dinner party afterwards. And I suddenly realized I'm kind of talking like that, and I go, just stop now. But I have to say, sometimes it's easier, especially when I'm listening to you guys, it's easier to be speaking with an American accent because it's a more relaxed facial expression.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, whereas you have to work harder to speak with an English accent.
Well, for Americans, it's definitely harder. I thought it would be easier for the British to be able to speak with their local British accent. Maybe not.
I think so. A southern accent is very easy for most British actors to do. I think there's a sort of lyrical side that fits very well with most actors who have a musical ear. But there are obviously some who don't do any voices other than their own.
Now that I think about it, what we should have done is before this interview, we should have told you do the whole thing in an American accent and freak everybody out.
Yeah.
So people who don't even know you're like, oh, she's American. Okay, then it's
I still get it on Twitter. I still get, American fans coming on and going, oh no, I just heard your real voice.
Yeah. Well, well, for me, it wasn't fair because when I saw the show, that's what I was like. Oh, great! They got their first American actress, and then I saw you on another TV show, and that's when I'm like, wait.
Wait a minute, Christian, you were bamboozled. You were bamboozled and thought that Peri was really. I mean, that Nicola was really American.
I was young
when she came out as Peri.
I was fooled, and then that's a testament to Nicola's performance.
Yeah,
and your honesty, because lots of people don't want to admit it.
No, I openly admit it. In fact, one of the TV shows we'll be talking about, when I saw you on it, that was the first time ever I was like, oh, she's just doing a British accent. She's on BBC, and I'm like,
I've had that too.
No, no, that's for real.
Yeah. People telling me I do a very good British accent.
But you grew up in Surrey, didn't you?
I did, which is where I live again now. The country life for me now.
Now, besides just being an actress, you sing and you play piano.
Well, I can hum a tune.
well, no. You were in... Okay. When you were at Webber Douglas Academy, you were Nanette in No Nanette, so you must have been able to sing. You must be able to sing.
Yeah, I don't think of myself as a singer. I am an actor who can hold a tune. So that's how I view myself.
All right.
Although in terms of as a child, I did a lot of musicals because my background was originally in dance. That was a kind of natural progression, and I used to sing lead soprano in choir and at Guildford Cathedral and stuff, which all seemed very safe. That seemed very easy. And then suddenly there were musicals and you had to make a particular sound and you had to kind of belt. Right. And that was never my sound, I was more, "O come all ye faithful," in a very high soprano voice. So I never felt comfortable. I think had I gone to perhaps a different drama school with a different attitude, I might have ended up going in that direction. But I never had what I would call a strong, traditional stage singing voice. I enjoy doing the harmonies in carols and stuff like that. But I wouldn't put myself up for a musical. I consider myself to be a straight actress, as do many actors, who can hold a tune. Just like listening to Judi Dench at the National doing Send in the Clowns, when literally she spoke the whole song, but it was incredibly moving. Yeah. So that's sort of where I'd categorize myself. I do play the piano.
And I understand you write music.
I do, yeah, for pleasure.
Oh, for pleasure.
For pleasure, yeah. I've not earned a living doing it yet, but yeah, it's just something I do, which I enjoy doing, and I find the piano a very relaxing thing. I've got a lovely piano here in my home, and I'll find it at the end of a day. It's a lovely thing to be able to sit down and play piano and just chill, really.
Now, Christian, did you know that Nicola and I have something in common?
Oh, my.
we both have asthma.
Test?
We both have asthma.
Ah, right,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the delights, yes.
You're both human. Congratulations.
The staying up all night because you can't breathe and getting rushed to the hospital because you're having
that was my
attack.
childhood.
Oh,
yeah, that was
fun.
my childhood.
Oh, no.
And then I grew out of it, which was great.
I'm glad you've I don't get... mine's not as bad, but I still have it.
Yeah, and then I got it back again.
Oh, no.
The NHA
it comes back.
The NHA really helped that.
But I do a lot of stuff. I don't think it really stops me doing anything. It's just annoying that sometimes you just feel like you're having to breathe through asbestos.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not debilitating as it was when I was a child. It affected my childhood a great deal.
Now, I'm sure you've answered this question at tons of conventions, but I'm going to take a different side. We know when you've auditioned for Doctor Who and you found out the role was American, you put on an American accent, and you tricked everybody to believing that you spoke with an American accent.
She was American,
yeah. Now here's a question I'm hoping nobody's asked you. When you landed the role and had to keep the accent, how did you have to deal with that? How did you go, oh my God, I think, I've just did this, now I've stuck with it.
Yeah, it was scary, really, but it's that thing that, when you're young, you just kind of take on anything. You just kind of go, oh yeah, okay, right, well, I'm going to have to do this then. My agent had said, because he'd seen me, as you're probably aware, because you mentioned Nona and Nanette, that I was in an American musical in drama school, and he'd seen me and he'd written me down as a genuine American. So the agent then contacted me and said, look, they're looking for an American. Then I had to go through the whole ordeal of explaining to him that I wasn't. And he said, look, I really think you'd be great in this part. I think you'd be right for it. So you go up for it. Do the accent that I saw you doing in Nona Nanette, and let's just see how it goes. And if you get the job, because they're only auditioning Americans and Canadians, if you get the job, then we'll tell them afterwards. And I was like, okay. That seemed like a great deal to me, because I was in a win-win situation. If I didn't get the part and I didn't get the agent, I might get another part, because I will have met the producer of Doctor Who. Right. So I might get a little part in it. It was just the idea that I got to meet somebody in the profession, having been out of drama school for 30 seconds, was an incredible opportunity. So I was like, yeah, great, terrific.
Were you a Doctor Who fan growing up?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Who was your doctor?
The one that I remember most clearly, the one that sort of I latched onto, was John Pertwee. Because that was the era where I was allowed to watch. Although it terrified me, absolutely terrified me. Nightmares and that whole can't get to sleep after you've watched it. And I didn't want to get off the sofa after I'd watched it, because there's that sense of, the atmosphere is still there.
Right.
So, but it was the most amazing show, because it really caught your imagination, and there was nothing else like it on the screen at the time, certainly for kids. And if you grew up with it, as most of us did, because I think there was only like 3 channels on television at the time, everybody was watching it. So, everybody understood the common denominator. And so we could all be Daleks in the playground at school. And we could all pretend to be a companion. And we could all have that fantasy in our heads too, which was very real, the idea that, which is as real today, I think, for kids who like the idea that, life can seem a bit, I have to go to school. I have to do my homework. Wouldn't it be just so much more fun if an exciting man with a time machine landed in my garden and I got to disappear? Wouldn't that just be fantastic? Yeah, that was the fantasy, wasn't it?
I was constantly beating you and trying to strangle you. That's a...
We'll get to that.
This is actually going to be a very strange compliment and followed by a question, so please don't call the authorities on me.
Sorry, don't forget I've got the off button here. Yeah.
No, that's okay. I'm just going to say this. I think you're going to be 200 years old and look a lot better than some 20-year-olds today.
Oh, well,
that's a compliment.
Incredible compliment. I'm sure I shall be Ash by the time I'm 200.
No. You'll be the most beautiful Ash out there. That's the thing. And I'm glad I said Ash and not something else. So anyway, well, we had an interview with another companion, Sophie Aldred, who played Ace, and she actually made a discussion about how she met you for the first time when she was revealed as the companion. And she had just wrapped up an episode, and they were revealing her on stage, and you were there with a bunch of other alumni. And she confessed that I wish I washed my hair because there's Nicola, and I'm like, I'm all messed up and everything, and she's just radiating gorgeous out there. So, she goes, I at least wish I washed my hair that moment there. But getting back to that, when you first took on the role as the companion, as Peri, how did fans take to you for the very first time when they found out? Because when they took to her, she mentioned on the stage that until she revealed she was the companion, she had won a prize that she was going to go on the set, and she just kind of blew it off, and then she revealed she was companion. So how did fans take to you when you first got the role?
Well, everybody's always been very nice. I mean, the idea that fans are, it's so rare that you find that. Everybody was very welcoming, and I was in that weird situation, of course, though, that I was traveling to America, talking about doing the show with an American accent, and then not having been in an episode that anyone had seen yet. So that was a little strange. But everybody was always very welcoming and friendly and excited. I mean, I do get the strange question occasionally of, why did you play Peri American? To which I go, well, that was the job.
Right, exactly.
as though I could just stick my hand in a little hat and pick out, oh, she's French, and make a decision. These things are all predetermined. So I went up for the role of an American, just as I can go up for the role of an Italian.
Well, I think every actor and actress is going to back you up. If they're going for a role, some of them even walked in dressed up as the character. I mean, they're going to do everything to reach that character. But you've done one thing better. You fooled the world, which I give you kudos for that.
Thank you. And also people do that thing where I've never gone in and told people I can ride a horse when I can't, because I'm thinking that's quite a lot to learn before you start filming. But I couldn't swim when I got the part, and that was a little worrying, seeing as day one was going to be, I hate the water. For me, it's the edge of a swimming pool, dipping my toes in with a cocktail in my hand. That's what it's for. Or looking at the sea while on a boat. I just have never really enjoyed swimming particularly.
But Planet of Fire, you had to just go completely in.
I did.
And you had to drown. Well, you had to play kind of drowning because Turtle saved you. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you weren't acting that either.
You weren't acting. You were really drowning. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Almost. No.
Okay.
I mean, I really, really hate lying. It's not something I want to do. And I feel very uncomfortable.
Acting is all lying.
I know, but that's different. That's a job. When I say the lines, it's a job. But when I'm in the interview, I, Nicola Bryant, don't really want to lie to anyone.
Gotcha.
So John Nathan Turner said to me, "Can you swim?" And I just laughed and said, "Why?" And he said, "Because you start off drowning." And I laughed again and said, "Well, drowning's my speciality." So I never actually said that I could swim. I just said I could drown, which they all thought was very funny. And so I literally rushed out of the final interview when John told me I'd got the job, and rang up my sister, who had like every swimming badge there was, and went, "I've got to learn to swim." Quickly. And that was it, really. I could do a bad doggy paddle in about 3 breaststrokes and sink. I don't know why. I was just sink.
So you're just sitting there going, "Mark, hurry up, Mark. Come here, Mark. Get over here. Get me now. This is not acting anymore."
Well, I was really relieved when I had to do the jumping in that I had to carry that plastic bag, because there was air in it and it kind of worked like a sort of little inflatable thing that I could hold on to. But it was nothing like I thought it would be, because literally Fiona Cummings was shouting by megaphone from the land, which was a good half a mile or a mile away. And she would just shout, "Drown," and I would drown for as long as possible before really drowning, and then I'd stop. Yeah. And that was how they filmed it. And there was a really strong current, and my sister tried to be very reassuring. She said, "You don't have to worry about it, Nicola. This is the BBC. They'll have divers in a boat with you, and you know, there was nobody there. No. It was just I was like, oh, no.
This is the BBC. Here's a life preserver.
Yeah, not
maybe.
Yeah. So it was, but for me, it was like all the things I did, fall down the side of volcanic rock and slash my legs. I thought nothing of it at the time. There was no health and safety acts to prevent these things. And I thought nothing of it. I only thought of how lucky and happy I felt to be starting my acting career in one of my favorite shows of all time. I just felt blessed. So what was the odd scar and the odd bit of drowning? It was nothing.
My favorite TV show and the last episode of my favorite TV show all at the same time.
What a way to go. Yeah. It was, it just really, the attitude entirely was, I'm really lucky and how fantastic this is. And yes, sir, you want me to lie under this train as it goes over me? That's cool. Okay. Anything else?
Now, when you auditioned for the part of Perpugilliam Brown, had they already announced that Peter Davison was leaving the show, or did you not know that?
No, they didn't announce that until after I started filming with him.
Right.
I think, if I'm remembering rightly now.
So you were ready to work with Peter, and then they thrust Colin on you.
They did.
They did. What kind of change and dynamic did you have to work through for that?
Well, I think the thing was I started inexperienced and nervous, and then just as I was starting to think that I might, I'm starting to get the hang of this, you feel all inexperienced and nervous again. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was like, well, I just had to step back to the beginning. And in a way, it wasn't as difficult as I thought it might have been, because in drama school, you're used to, as you would be in repertory theatre, changing the people you work with every time. So I had only done 2 stories with Peter.
Right.
And the whole of the rest of the cast, including the director, had changed with each story. Mm-hmm. So I know, obviously, the main rapport is between the Doctor and the companion. And it was difficult because I think little did we realise at the time, but we'd just done an iconic episode by being in Caves of Androzani. And I do think it was probably one of Peter's best.
It was. In fact, it was my favorite.
And everything came together in that episode. And I definitely gelled working with Graham Harper. He was fantastic, and therefore I expected every director to be like him. And because everything was new, it just continued in the vein of everything is new. So in a way, everybody says, "Oh, well, that must have been terrible," and yet to me, it was just like, okay, so I got to do 2 stories with Peter, and now I start again. It wasn't as hard as perhaps it might have been had I spent a year with Peter. And really gotten used to working with him, and then had to change.
Yeah,
I was sort of in the change mode already, if that makes sense. I think the only thing that was difficult for both Colin and I was that Colin, this is what we discovered later when we had lots of discussions, kind of expected me to welcome him on board the show, whereas I'd only done 2 episodes, and I was a nobody who'd just left drama school. That, in my mind, was not my role, and that would have been very precocious. So I very much stepped back because he was the lead actor, and he thought that was me just being rude. So we were both in a position of kind of misinterpreting what the sort of language was expected from each other, if that makes any sense. But it only took a few weeks for us to actually have the conversation about that, to realise that we were both coming in from quite a tentative position, really. So from that moment on, we've been the best of friends. In fact, we had a chat this morning on the phone. So he's remained a very close friend of mine.
Oh, good.
Which is another amazing thing about Doctor Who, really, that we are in so many ways a family, and we do say this often, and people think it's a cliche, and maybe it is, but it's true for so many of us.
Well, you get to see him at conventions, you do Big Finish with him, so I mean, yeah. And you still work with Peter sometimes on Big Finish, so that's good. You get the best of both worlds.
I do, exactly. Very lucky.
Yeah.
I'm just going to mention the TV show that broke my heart, because it's one of my favorite Christmas shows ever, and I don't know why nobody ever plays it here in the States, but I think you already know where I'm coming to this, right?
Yes.
It is Blackadder's Christmas Carol. And a very, very wonderful take on a classic story, twisting it around and making it something just... one of the things I was thinking to myself, why didn't nobody think about this earlier on the Charles Dickens take? But you were in there. And the funny thing is, when I was a kid, I was thinking, I wonder who could break glass better. Could it be Nicola Bryant or Bonnie Langford? Because when you hit that high note, it's like, whoa, got to turn down the TV.
That was kind of the aim, yes.
So going forward into that, what was it like working on that show and being a part of its anthology?
Well, I was playing Honey in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf at the time. Mm-hmm. And Honey does quite a lot of giggling and crying. And I do I love listening to people's laughs, because some of them are just so original. And I love the way that a laugh can be so indicative of a particular character. Mm-hmm. And in the audition, they said, we don't know yet, but we think she's going to have some kind of strange and interesting laugh. And I said, well, I'm doing a quite strange and interesting laugh for Honey in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. And they said, oh, do share that with us. So I shared that laugh, and I shared one of the woman on the train journey from where I was working down to London for the interview. And they thought that was all very amusing. And so I think that had something to do in a way with me getting the part. Mm-hmm. And then when I got the part, it was Ben Elton who sort of, this will sound very strange, but he shut me in the men's toilets, which does sound strange, but in the BBC rehearsal rooms at the time, each floor had either a men's or a woman's, and the floor that we were rehearsing on had the men's toilet. And there was nobody else in the other rehearsal room, so it was okay to do that. And he basically shut me in there and said, right, I'm thinking sort of staccato, machine gun, really high pitch, incredibly obnoxious. See what you can find. Right. Yeah. And then it was come out and give him a sound. And it was from the sound that they then added the other lines, secure the ornaments, Baldrick, and stuff like that. So those weren't in the original script. It was Ben Elton's idea that she would just have this hideous sound. And then when we came to recording it, of course, we do all the recording is live. So that was quite a thing, really, because I hadn't realised that I was going to have to literally walk around 2/3 of the set, laughing the whole way.
Oh my God.
Make my entrance, which needed a lot of breath to achieve that, really.
I could tell. It's like, wow. And then just the reaction that Rowan had to your character. And
yes.
Who's the huge halibut in the trousers?
Yes.
Little things like that.
Beyonce, yes.
But it was nice to see something that you were on outside of Doctor Who. It was like, oh, yes, she's in this. And it's not Christmas unless I've seen that somewhere. Not even the PBS, at least, show it anymore. So I had to buy the video. And now it's part of my...
Yeah, they show it almost every Christmas here now on BBC Two. And Virgin Airlines used to show it. I have no idea if they do.
So I have to start flying every Christmas season to watch it again.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's an expensive trip, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be on British Airways. I think it is now, too.
Now, I said that you worked with 2 doctors, but you didn't actually work with 2 doctors because Patrick Troughton showed up in the first Colin Baker season with you in the 2 doctors.
Yeah, so I worked with 3 in Doctor Who, which is very privileged.
What was it like working with Patrick? Now, I know that you started with John, but Patrick, big deal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had gone back and I'd watched some of his stories, and obviously he's the one to whom we owe everything, because if his Doctor hadn't worked, Doctor Who would not have continued. So, and he's such a nice man. So when John Nathan Turner told me that we would be doing a special and going to Seville, and so I felt like I'd won the lottery. I just worked with Peter Davison. Now I was working with Colin Baker, and you're telling me you're going to get Patrick Troughton in as well? I was like, my goodness, I am just so lucky. And I knew of Fraser Hines being a companion and having been in Emmerdale, which my grandmother was a huge. So it just seemed like such a fun idea. And we instantly all hit it off. Colin and Fraser turned into some terrible comedy double act that was really awful. And Pat and I just drew solace together, really. It was great. And fantastic that we also got this foreign location as well. We were very lucky.
The 2 doctors filmed in Seville, but originally that story was supposed to be a story that took place in New Orleans here in America. And that would have been interesting for your companion.
It would have been brilliant, and I think they were very disappointed when that didn't work out. But Seville was a fantastic landscape for us to be filming in. And seemed to work very well. But I mean, that's the genius of people who can turn things around quickly when everything changes.
Yeah, definitely.
I must admit, when I saw the modern Doctor Who go to America, I was like, oh, we nearly did that.
Oh, now I'm curious what Peri would have tasted like.
What? What was that?
Shock eye.
Oh,
you have to make that connection for people.
Oh, okay.
There was a meme I created by the off chance. It was Shock Guy, but instead of Shock Guy standing there, he's by himself. He has a picture of Lady Gaga in the meat jacket that she wears.
Let's slip away from Doctor Who for just a moment.
Okay.
You got to work with Patrick McNee.
Yeah, it was called Killing Jessica.
Yes.
The West End, yeah.
Yeah, tell us about that. What was Killing Jessica about?
Well, it was Levinson and Link, the authors of Columbo, and many other things. They had written a thriller, so to speak, a murder mystery. And they wanted to do a stage version of this thriller, which has actually had many different names. I've noticed a tour of it recently under a different name. But when we did it, it was Killing Jessica. And Patrick McNee was playing sort of the male lead. And David Langton from Upstairs Downstairs was another one of the main characters. And I got to play the young sort of ingenue, because it was one of those plays within a play within a play. And the story is, it's about the opening night on Broadway of a play, and all the actors are sort of standing around at the opening night party waiting for the reviews to come in, which is just not the same in London as it is in America. So you've got the press that comes out straight away, which can, I understand, quite literally close the show if the press is bad.
Right.
So that's the story. And the female lead actress of the play within the play commits suicide. Soon after the opening, it gets terrible reviews, and basically all the cast get back together to apparently read another play. But there's a trap within this, because actually what they're doing is trying to entrap the person who's responsible for the murder of this actress. But that's not revealed until right at the end. So it's complicated. We're pretending to do a play within the play, but the play is a trap for the murderer.
I like
so,
that. I want to see that. I got to go and travel back.
I think it was they did it. They did a TV film version of it, and I think, I could be wrong, that Karen Black played the part that I played.
I know what movie. Okay. I know her.
So, I think. But yeah, it was great fun because I got to play a really naive ingenue who comes back as a kind of Joan Collins diva a year later, because obviously she got to take over the main role and this made her name. So, of course, she seems like a suspect as well. But no, it was a great fun thing to do, although I think it was one of the worst winters we'd had. We were all getting snowed in and frozen into the Savoy several days in a row. But no, and such an honour to work with Patrick Macnee, who was such a gent, such a really nice man, very straightforward, very charming, very sweet. I'm trying to remember the little nickname he had for me, and I can't remember that. I don't remember it now, but it was very endearing anyway. He made me feel like I felt very grown up, of course, which is the joke when you look back. But whenever he patted my head, I felt like I was about 14.
Wow. Thank you, Nicola. I'm glad that you're going to be back on next week with us here on MarkWHO42 on Krypton Radio.
Yeah, that was just the first part. So
the first part. There's more to come, and you'll get that next week. We've 5th anniversary. We've been on. I mean, the show started a little later, but the Facebook page started 5 years ago last Saturday. Oh, wow. April 1st, 2012. I did it with Patricia Helm, and we started what has snowballed into Doctor Who, the MarkWHO42 podcast that you're listening to either on Krypton Radio or iTunes or Google Play or on iHeartRadio, or you're listening on our app or I mean, we're, all the other podcast sites.
If you can't somehow find MarkWHO42 somehow, we can't help you. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we just can't.
Well,
we're everywhere.
All right. Christian,
Yeah.
What do we have in terms of conventions coming up that we are going to be appearing at?
Oh, we'll just simply do the next two conventions coming up. Coming in 2 weeks, April 14th through the 16th. 4 out of the 5 members of the team are going to be at the Miami Airport Convention Center for SuperCon Retro. We'll be hosting panels. We're going to have the MarkWHO42 booth there. And if you want more information, you can go to the MarkWHO42 website for all of our upcoming appearances. Yeah. But a special guest will be Ingrid Oliver, who plays
Osgood.
There we go.
And she was on our show. So, we have plenty in common with her.
Right. And we will be selling unit Big Finish CDs for you to get her to sign and listen to with new audios with Gemma Redgrave, reprising her role as Kate Stewart. So, yeah, she will be, they'll be down there in South Florida. Again, April 14th through the 16th at the Miami Airport Convention Center. Go to our site.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
April 15th is the premiere of Doctor Who, and the convention...
That's right.
It's going on during the convention. So there's going to be a room, a big room, where we're going to have BBC America on, and you can watch on the big screen, on the monitors, Doctor Who Episode 1 of Series 10, the pilot, and the first episode of Class. And then, this is the kicker, we are going to record a live broadcast of MarkWHO42, which will air that week, the next week, on the show. It'll be basically our review with the help of you, the audience, because we're going to have audience participation where you can put your 2 cents in about what you just saw. and that will be our first review show of Series 10.
There you go.
So it's going to be exciting. And Sunday, we're going to have, we had this panel last time, and it went over big, and we're going to do it again. It's called Doctor Who Invasion of America, and we're going to talk about its insurgence into America in the 70s, 80s, and today. And we're going to have special guest, comic writer and author Peter David on the panel. So it's going to be fun. Peter David is a big Doctor Who fan, and he will be there, and Patty Hawkins will be on that panel. Dan Harris of the Sci-Fi Secrets will be there. I'll be there. It'll be a great panel. Be sure to be there on Sunday.
Gotcha. And next month, we are triple busy with 3 conventions going on all May. But we definitely want to emphasize more on Timegate Presents WHOlanta. Special guests Colin Baker, Nicola Bryant, and Camille Kaduri. Also, Jamie Matheson with his first appearance in the South, as well as Camille's first appearance down there. You remember Camille, Jackie Tyler from the reboot series, Rose's mom, and of course Colin and Nicola. We already had Nicola, so you already know who she is. Well, that's taking place in Atlanta, Georgia, May 5th through the 7th. Again, the link is up on MarkWHO42.net. And just to quickly run so you guys can keep your calendars up to date, Oasis 29, which will be taking place May 19th through the 21st. We don't have that on our site as of yet. We'll be putting that up as it gets closer, and we'll have more information for you to have that. We should have the MarkWHO42 booth. We may be performing in panels. We haven't specified anything as of yet, but we will be out there during that weekend. And finally, the following weekend, May 25th through the 28th, MegaCon Orlando.
Oh, yeah.
The big one. Yeah, definitely running from Thursday through Sunday. The big things that are happening out there. Stan Lee's going to be out there. Jeffrey Dean Morgan from The Walking Dead. And first appearance, and I think this is the first time ever that we've had a convention, Tim Curry.
Oh, wow.
But definitely we're going to be having Jenna Coleman and Arthur Darvill, who's now doing The Legends of Tomorrow, but you know him as Rory or Mr. Pond from Doctor Who. And they will be out there at MegaCon. So as soon as we get closer into May, we'll be putting up those links up there. But those
I might put them up now.
Okay.
Whenever I have time.
That's pretty much it.
And time is a commodity in time travel, so we don't know.
We just got an update from MegaCon. This is interesting.
What?
Mike Tyson's going to be on MegaCon.
Mike Tyson?
Mike Tyson's going to be out there.
I just want to say...
No, please no. Okay, so Mike Tyson will be out there. That's all I'm saying at this point. Say what you will, but Iron Mike will be out there at MegaCon, which I don't know what to say. I really don't. I'm speechless. Completely. I don't know what to say about this.
Hey, we've had wrestlers at conventions. It's
That's
time
true,
to have a pugilist at the convention.
I know we've had Jake the Snake at Infinity Con and all that, but I just Mike Tyson. Let's see what happens. I'm interested.
He'll be in Sharknado 72.
Pretty
coming
much
out next week.
Hey, I'm just there for Tim and our Doctor Who guest, so I would love to see Norman Reedus. He's going to be out there as well with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. But I'm sorry, I'm biased. I want to see my Doctor Who people, and then I go scurry off. And did I just say scurry? I never used scurry before. But yeah, scurry over.
Will Cecil be there?
Yes, definitely. You want to come out and see that tower or whatever he's building now. He says he has something new, so I definitely want to see it. Our pal, cosplayer, Cecil Gardner, better known as Cecil Grimes of Cecil Grimes Cosplay, Rick Grimes Cosplay Impersonator. Definitely worth coming out and seeing him. The incredible sets that he does. We had just had an interview with him, if you haven't, just interviews ago, if you want to check him out. But if you definitely need to come out and see him. He is not just a cosplayer, he is an experience. He is a cosplay experience that you want to check out. Tons of cosplayers out there, but he's our good buddy. And that is it.
All right. Don't forget to go to MarkWHO42.net and join the WHOniverse Army. Go to our Facebook page, our Tumblr page, MarkWHO42. Tweet us at MarkWHO42. Check us out on iTunes, iHeartRadio, our own app on Android and iPhone and iPad. Also, go to TuneIn Radio, go to Stitcher.fm, markwho42.net.com. We have a lot of listeners on Stitcher. Hello, Stitcher.
Basically, we're out there. We're out there somewhere. MarkWHO42, Google it, something. We have apps and everything, so we're out there.
Yeah. So until next time, when we will have the continuation of our interview with Nicola Bryant, and yes, you will enjoy that as much as you enjoyed this one. Bye, everyone. I didn't come up with a new phrase for WHOlanta. I know it's
really?
an anniversary. I'll do it in the next.
So disappointed.
I'll have it. No, I'll have it for the first review show, and I'll perform it live on stage or something. Bye, everyone.
Wait.
Oh, we got more?
I was going to say I really do like the new theme song.
It is good.
I don't know if anybody noticed.
Simon outdid himself. We're no longer kind of like, we're now. I mean, we're music now. We're not just.
We're not more.
We're
more. Okay.
Yeah, we're more Barry White than than Art of Noise now.
Okay, and on that we gotta go.
Okay, bye everyone.
See you next week.
MarkWHO42 is written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Christian Basil, Patty Hawkins, Iggy Matthews, and Zion Kiros. This episode was edited, directed, and produced by Mark Baumgarten and co-produced by Christian Basil. Visit MarkWHO42.net, where you can register and become part of the WHOniverse Army. We can be contacted by email at mark@markwho42, subject line, ? If you'd like a chance to be a guest on our radio show, send an email to our Media Relations Director, Christian Basil, at markwho42media@yahoo.com. You can have MarkWHO42 entertain at your next event or convention. Go to heroesonhand.com/MarkWHO42. Space Coast Comics is a free monthly magazine found in over 120 locations currently throughout Brevard County, parts of Osceola, Volusia, and Indian River County in Florida, and soon to be available in Chicago. Follow them on Facebook to learn more. Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. This show is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten, 2017. This is Krypton Radio.